Okay, in this lesson I'm going to talk about for loops. And for loops work in C++ the same way they do in C Sharp. So this will be real quick. The basic idea is that there are three parts. There's an initialization piece. So this is the statement that gets executed basically conceptually before you enter into the loop. Okay, you set up this variable I equals 0 in this case. And then the second bit is the test to see if you're staying in the loop or not. So if this evaluates to true, then we stay inside the loop. So when we initialized I to 0, 0 is less than 10, so we're going to go through this loop at least once here. And then this last expression is what gets executed at the end of the loop. Okay, so we start off here with I equal to 0. We print out a 0 and a space, and then we go through the loop again. And notice, I'm sorry, after we print this out, we increment I, right? And then we go in and check to see if I is less than 10. It is, so we keep going. We increment I again. We keep going until I is 10. And notice when I does get to 10, then we're done with the loop. So we won't actually print out a 10 here. Okay, we'll print out all the numbers 0 to 9, and then when we hit 10 is when we fall out of the loop, so we don't execute this. All right, so we can count forwards, we can count backwards. So instead of incrementing I, we can decrement it. We can add 5 to it each time, so we count by 5s. We can have null statements on each side. Okay, which in this case, it would probably make more sense to just have a while loop here, right? And just say while count less than 10. But sometimes you'll see this, you'll see something like this, and depending on what you're doing, it might make sense to have null statements in your for loop. And you can also nest loops inside of each other. So we're going to have rows and columns. And so what we do is we loop through the rows on the outer loop here, and then we have a nested loop inside where we loop through the columns. So I is counting the rows, J is counting the columns. So each time we output something, we output I comma J. And notice when we're done with once we've gone through one set of columns, we're finished with that row, right? Once we've counted from J equals 0 up to J equals columns, we won't, so this says columns 3, right? So we'll, J will go from 0, 1, and 2. Once J gets to 2, we fall out and we print an endl here. So we get a new line for each row. Okay, so let's see what that looks like. Okay, so we counted forward, 0 to 9, backward, 9 to 0. Oh yeah, let me show you why that was 9 to 0. So notice we started with I equal to 9, and we went as long as I is greater than or equal to 0. So that's how we caught the 0 in there. Then we did the counting by 5s, the counting with the null statement, and here's what I was talking about. So we go, we start with I equal to 0, and J goes to 0, 1, and 2. Then we had that endl where we print it out, right here. So that gave us our new line. and then we just kept cycling through. So there were 5 rows, so we had 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the rows. So notice the first number is the row number. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and the second number is the column number, 0, 1, 2, 0, 1, 2, and so on. All right, so that's the for loop.